First of all, I'm very grateful for getting invited here. I see a lot of friends sitting in the audience. But I'm very grateful that you gave me the opportunity to come here and speak with you at this esteemed forum. I'm also very grateful to Ambassador Karabalis for his leadership. He's truly transformed for the short duration that he's been here. He's transformed, and he's in the process of transforming the relationship between Europe and Pakistan. And of course, Europe is pivotal for us because we have deep-rooted relationships with Europe, and they're also one of our largest trading partners. So this relationship is very important for us. And we're very grateful for all the excellencies, individual ambassadors of each country who've been leading the charge. And also grateful to His Excellency for putting it all together for us. I'm also thankful to Peter. Peter Staps who's done a lot of effort to put this together. Just a few months ago it looked so difficult, and everyone has put this together so elegantly that it looks like, oh wow, it was always planned like this. Of course, 2 thumbs up to the Ministry of Commerce. They've done a fantastic job, and also to SIFC for supporting them. From my perspective, that's all I should say. This is a concluding remark, right? But from my perspective, I think all of these relationships are about creating synergy. And synergy for what? For wealth creation, for national wealth creation, not just in Pakistan, but in all the countries, all of our partners. I personally believe that at the heart of wealth creation is productivity. And if you want productivity, one-time productivity you can get from technology. But long-term productivity or sustainable productivity only comes from a system of innovation. So I think through the partnerships that we have put forth over the past few days, what we are creating is this engine for ingenuity and innovation. And I think if we are able to do that, this would lead to diffusion of technology over a period of time and eventually towards wealth creation. So this is perhaps the most credible and fantastic platform for what I'm calling the innovation ecology. When people meet, they just don't share businesses, they just don't share technologies. They share the tacit understanding of how businesses operate. And sometimes this tacit understanding of how businesses should be run doesn't naturally proliferate. So when people meet, cultures meet, technologies meet, new ways of thinking take place, new business models come forth, fantastic ideas somewhere, some unicorn ideas sitting in some corner, they may find their voice in the global value chain. And that basically is the theater of change. Because change is nothing but a belief amongst people, particularly the young people, that change is on the horizon. So one home run from this room, and we'd have confidence in our togetherness, and our youth would have confidence that the change shall come about. So once again, I welcome you on behalf of the Prime Minister of Pakistan, on behalf of the Minister of Commerce. I welcome you all here because this is, and these kind of fora are singularly most important for us. Europe is particularly important for us because of the innovation ecology that it has. It's not just the businesses. These businesses and these businessmen are the products of the greatest universities that sit in Europe over hundreds of years. So these are not things that you can just replicate. You can wake up one morning and put a brick and mortar infrastructure and say, voila, this is how it's going to be. So I think when your businesses come here, they bring that tradition, they bring that knowledge, and they bring a whole new system through which our young generation can be inspired by ingenuity, human ingenuity, and new thoughts and new ideas. So we welcome you all. Now all of these things can be done in a very unsustainable manner, because the second important element, one important element is productivity, and the second important element is sustainability. If you really wanted to create wealth, you can burn everything that you have in one go, and that's it. That's it, you've created wealth, which would be a little blip, which would be gone. But the art of balancing the resources in a sustainable manner, the art of creating this engine that keeps going and keeps giving and keeps going and keeps giving, is basically what we are looking forward to. And towards this responsible use of resources, Europe is coming up. Europe is indeed a champion, probably the only champion left now, of climate change, environmental responsibility, and so on and so forth, and the Green Revolution. So I personally think that Europe has come up with a certain hurdle rate for the rest of the world, in the way of CBAM, in the way of Green Compact, in the way of many new relationships which are going to roll out beginning this year and onwards. And I think that creates a tremendous opportunity for us, but it also creates a hurdle for us. And I was always deeply critical of all of these hurdles, even if and even when they were green. But today, when I found out that it's not just the hurdle that has been created, but a framework has been created to jump over this hurdle. And the European Union has committed to investing over 20 million euros into this framework and particularly helping the SMEs towards green stamping, towards carbon audits, towards innovation, towards creativity. With that, I realized that they're putting their money where their mouth is. And truthfully, this is not just an industrial policy, but it's actually a green compact in which new clusters hopefully shall emanate. I mean, I can give you a number of examples. I always give this example, I studied Sweden and Finland many years ago. I studied their innovation ecology. And I found out that, Finland, for example, was once a forest economy. And Nokia was a rubber and tire company. And in order for them to save their forest and save their environments for times to come, they came up with the world's highest environmental standards. And in the year 2004, when I studied their innovation ecology, they were exporting 1/3 of the world's environmental technology. So these hurdle rates are going to create new clusters, new businesses that right now our kids might not have imagined. But if they're giving a certain target and they're also enabled by providing resources and technologies and collaborations that you've brought forth, they are going to be, this can potentially become a seed for all of those transitions, the great transitions, the likes of which I have just mentioned. And as you know, Pakistan is a very taxing environment. If you look at the demand function of Pakistan, if you look at the kind of devastations that we faced in terms of climate change, whether they be floods or other ancillary externalities, it's tremendous. We've had 6,000 people dead, we've had about 20,000 people injured or disabled. We've had 40 million people displaced, about 1.8 billion school days lost. I don't know very many people which have such taxing demand function, such sophisticated demand function, such cruel demand function. Any young man or woman in this room who comes up with a solution to this kind of hardship is going to have a global unicorn. Because if you can solve this problem here with the participation of the world's best ideas and best companies and best thoughts, I think that is going to be exported globally. So I am of the view that this is a great beginning, not a good beginning, a great beginning. I personally also appreciate deeply, I missed the last session, and our friend, Secretary Commerce was here, and we met and he told me what conversations transpired about the SME sector, and that inspires me. Because I think when I get up in the morning and I look into the mirror, honestly, what I see is a dinosaur. When I talk to my children, and I was talking to my son and my daughter-in-law last night, and I didn't even get what they were talking about. They were talking about Claude, they were talking about technology stacks, they were talking about agentification, and I was like, whoa, where am I living? And I think the focus that this forum has afforded to the youth in the way of thinking about SMEs, I think is inspiring for me. There's big revolution brewing outside, globally. There's a revolution of electrification. This revolution of electrification has an underpinning of metals and minerals. We have cognitive technology revolution brewing in the way of AI. We have ubiquitous access to information, an information revolution which has already taken shape and form. We have a biotech revolution, we have a nanotech revolution, and they all feed into what I can foresee moving forward. The conversations that I have with my friends' children, with my children, with many of the fantastic young people who don't get that opportunity to get financed, to come up with this, to articulate these ideas of technology stacks and God knows what gibberish they speak, into real solutions, which are globally exportable. I think what you have done today in putting our companies together with your companies and focusing on SMEs and making an actual allocation towards them getting over the hurdles and giving them a high target, a high green target, I think it's fantastic. So I'm very grateful to you all. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to come here and speak with you. Bernard Shaw used to say, and I'm going to paraphrase because, I don't recall the exact phrase. He used to say that many men look at things the way they are and ask why. Today I look at this room and ask myself, why not? So let's give it a shot. Thank you.